Across Europe, synagogues are suddenly becoming targets again. A new group claiming responsibility, videos spreading through channels linked to Iran's militant allies. But the organization itself remains almost invisible. So is Ashab Al Yamim a real group? Or the latest front in a wider proxy war now reaching Europe? A previously unknown group has suddenly emerged in Europe, claiming responsibility for a series of attacks on Jewish institutions across the continent and raising new questions about possible links to Iran-aligned militant networks. The group, calling itself Ashab Al Yamim, has claimed responsibility for 3 separate incidents this week. The first was the bombing of a synagogue in Liège on Monday. 2 further attacks followed, one in Greece on Wednesday, and another on Friday involving an arson attack on a synagogue in Rotterdam. The group appears to have emerged suddenly. Analysts note that there is no clear record of its existence prior to these attacks. Unusually, it also does not appear to operate its own Telegram or social media channels, something that militant groups typically establish immediately in order to distribute propaganda and claim responsibility. Despite this absence, videos of the 3 attacks surfaced quickly on Telegram channels associated with organizations linked to the so-called Shi'ite axis, including those connected to Hezbollah and Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The appearance of the footage on these networks has prompted speculation about potential links between the new group and Iranian-aligned proxy organizations. The name Ashab Al Yamim translates roughly as Companions of the Right or People of the Right. In this context, the word right does not refer to political ideology, but instead carries the meaning of righteousness or justice. Researchers note that similar terminology appears in the Quran, where the concept of the people of the right is used metaphorically. The group's logo has also drawn attention. It depicts an arm raised while holding a rifle pointed to the right, with the image placed over a globe. Analysts say this design strongly resembles the logos used by several Iran-aligned militant organizations, including Kataib Hezbollah and Hezbollah. One notable difference is the weapon depicted in the symbol. Rather than the stylized assault rifles commonly used in similar logos, the emblem used by Ashab Al Yamim appears to show a Dragunov rifle, also known as the SVD. The weapon is widely recognized in parts of the Middle East, but is less commonly associated with groups operating in Europe. Statements released after the attack in Liège also followed patterns often seen in communications from militant organizations. The message opened with religious praise and included a passage calling on followers to engage in jihad. However, some analysts say the statement also contains unusual features. Typically, statements issued by established armed organizations include clear formatting and dates at the end of the message. In this case, observers noted that such details were absent. Joe Truzman, a senior research analyst at Foundation for Defense of Democracies, FDD, specializing in Palestinian armed groups and Iranian proxy organizations, told the Jerusalem Post.
Generally, with the Shi'ite armed organizations, or even the front groups, they at least try to look authentic. In their statements, there's always a date at the end, and there are always little statements that these groups say at the end. You don't see that in the statement at all. Either this is a legitimate, authentic statement and the video is authentic, or it is some criminal or anti-Semitic group that's trying to cover its tracks. It's very difficult to say.
The presence of video evidence, however, has complicated the picture. Investigators are also examining the possibility that the group may be operating as a front organization. Iran has previously been accused of using proxy groups to carry out attacks abroad. One of the most prominent historical examples was the bombing of the Argentine-Israelite Mutual Association in 1994 in Buenos Aires, which killed 85 people. An Argentine court ruled in 2024 that Iran directed the attack and that Hezbollah carried it out. After President Donald Trump warned recently about Iranian sleeper cells potentially operating in North America, Canadian opposition lawmakers are turning attention to home, accusing their own government of allowing agents linked to Tehran to live freely on Canadian soil. Senior Conservatives went public on March 12th, demanding the Liberal government table a plan within 1 week to crack down on Iranian regime activity inside Canada.
The Liberals have known for years that there are hundreds of Iranian regime officials in Canada, 239 of whom have had their visas cancelled.
According to the Conservative leaders, the government cited legal obstacles for the lack of deportations, including asylum claims, the absence of direct flights to Iran, and privacy protections. The accusations carry particular weight given what Canadian police are investigating in Burnaby, British Columbia. Iranian mathematician and government critic Masoud Masjoudi vanished earlier this year, and investigators from Canada's Integrated Homicide Investigation Team say evidence suggests he was likely murdered. No suspects have been publicly named. For many in Canada's Iranian diaspora, the case is not an isolated incident. Mariam Shariat Madari, a prominent activist who fled Iran after being imprisoned for her role in the hijab protests and now lives in exile in Canada, told Fox News that regime-linked individuals have become increasingly visible in recent years.
Their presence has become more visible, and they are organizing gatherings under the slogan "No to War," while expressing support for Hamas and Hezbollah. Meanwhile, they remained completely silent about the killing of Iranians.
Exiled Iranian journalist Mehdi Kadimi, also based in Canada, described how regime-connected individuals typically enter Western countries.
Some arrive as students, academics, or ordinary immigrants, but were already connected to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps through family ties or ideological affiliation. They often try to identify activists and critics, so those individuals can face legal or judicial problems either in Iran or even abroad.
The backdrop to all of this is Washington. US President Donald Trump warned on March 11th that US authorities were monitoring Iranian networks believed to have entered the US in recent years, linking their arrival to what he described as lax border policies under his predecessor.
We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all of them. But the war itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Meanwhile, back in Iran, American and Israeli attacks have killed almost 2,000 people since the war began on February 28th. The repercussions of which might invite trouble on the American soil, as various Muslim clerics have issued fatwa against the Western alliance, essentially meaning any attack on Israel and America was legitimate, whether it was a missile strike in the Strait of Hormuz or a suicide bombing in Florida.